Did you know that nearly 50% of adults over 65 have trouble sleeping through the night? It's not just about falling asleep. It's about waking up at 2 or 3 a.m. and not being able to drift back to sleep. If that sounds like you, you're not alone. But what if I told you that a simple onion, yes, the one sitting in your kitchen, might be the key to better sleep in just 3 nights? I know it sounds odd, but in today's video, I'll show you how people are using onion in 3 different ways to fall asleep faster, stay asleep longer, and wake up feeling refreshed. And make sure you stick around until the end, because I've got a bonus tip that ties everything together. A small habit that can supercharge any of these onion methods and help you sleep even better. Before I show you how to use onion, let's take a quick look at what the science says. In one well-designed study, participants with sleep difficulties were given an onion extract containing concentrated cysteine sulfoxides, the main bioactive compounds found in onions. The results were quite interesting. Sleep latency, how long it takes to fall asleep, decreased. Delta power during non-rapid eye movement, deep sleep, increased during the first sleep cycle. A stress marker called salivary alpha amylase dropped significantly after taking the onion extract. In other words, this study suggests that onion compounds can help you fall asleep faster, experience deeper sleep earlier in the night, and reduce stress levels. However, it's important to note that this was a short-term trial in healthy adults. According to Lori Leadley, a clinical sleep educator at Valley Sleep Center, even if you fall asleep faster with an onion beside you, there's no evidence it can help you stay asleep and experience the full sleep cycle optimally. So, while the science is promising, using onion should go hand in hand with good sleep hygiene. Things like keeping a consistent bedtime, sleeping in a dark, cool room, and avoiding screens before bed. Alright, now that you've got the background, let's move into 3 simple methods you can try, from gentle to stronger, and see which one fits you best. Let's start with the first method, and it's probably the one most people are curious about. It's simple, low effort, and doesn't require you to drink or mix anything. We're talking about putting onion in your socks before bed. I know, it sounds strange, but stay with me, because many people swear this little nighttime ritual helps them relax and fall asleep faster. Here's what you'll need. 1 red or yellow onion. Red tends to have a milder scent. A clean pair of socks. And here is how to do it. Slice the onion into thin, flat rings. You don't need much. 2 or 3 slices per foot is enough. Place the slices on the soles of your feet, especially near the arch where the nerve endings are most sensitive. Slip on your socks to hold them in place. Then, just go to bed as usual. Now, here's why this might help. Your feet are home to thousands of nerve endings connected to different organs and systems in the body. When you place the onion there, its natural sulfur compounds and antioxidants may gently absorb through the skin and help calm the nervous system. Some people describe waking up feeling lighter, almost as if their body released tension overnight. Whether it's the sulfur compounds or simply the relaxing ritual itself, the result can be a deeper, calmer night's rest. If sleeping with onions in your socks feels a bit too odd, try placing a few slices in a small bowl beside your bed. The gentle aroma may help ease stress and quiet the mind before sleep. Try it for 3 nights in a row, and pay attention to how your body feels in the morning. Not just how long you slept, but how rested and refreshed you feel. The second method is onion and warm milk sleep tonic. If the first method was all about calm from the outside, this one works from the inside out. It's a cozy, nurturing drink that feels like something your grandmother might have made, and it can help your body relax into deep, natural sleep. Here is what you'll need. 1 small onion, finely chopped, 1 cup of whole milk, or your preferred milk alternative, 1 teaspoon of honey, a pinch of nutmeg. The best way to make this sleep tonic drink is to combine the chopped onion and milk in a small saucepan. Heat gently over low heat for about 8 to 10 minutes. Don't let it boil. Strain out the onion, pressing lightly to release all the beneficial liquid. Stir in the honey and nutmeg. Sip slowly about 30 minutes before bedtime. Now, let's move to the third method, the most powerful one, and the closest to what scientists actually tested in real sleep studies. In one of those trials, participants were given an onion extract rich in cysteine sulfoxides, the same natural compounds responsible for onion's strong aroma and many of its health effects. The results were impressive. Participants fell asleep faster, their deep sleep activity increased during the first sleep cycle, and their stress markers, especially salivary alpha amylase, dropped noticeably. Not bad for something as simple as an onion, right? Here's how you can make a gentle version of that extract at home. Juice or blend 2 large yellow onions until smooth. Strain the mixture through cheesecloth to remove the pulp. Mix 2 tablespoons of that juice with half a cup of warm water and 1 tablespoon of honey. Drink this about 45 to 60 minutes before bed. Here's why it works. This version gives you a concentrated dose of the onion's active sulfur compounds, much stronger than what you'd get from smell or mild contact. These compounds can help lower stress, support relaxation, and signal your body to enter deeper sleep faster. Start with just 1 tablespoon at first to test your tolerance. Do not take it on an empty stomach. The sulfur can be a little harsh. Avoid this method if you have acid reflux, ulcers, or take blood thinners. This is the most potent method, and while it's also the most research supported, it can cause mild discomfort in sensitive individuals. Think of it as the advanced version. Start small, listen to your body, and if it suits you, it may become a surprisingly effective natural aid for better sleep. Before experimenting with any of these onion-based sleep methods, it's important to keep safety in mind. Onions may interact with blood-thinning medications, such as warfarin. They can also affect blood sugar levels, so if you have diabetes, monitor closely. If you experience GERD, acid reflux, or stomach ulcers, avoid the concentrated extract method, as it can cause irritation. Always start with the gentlest method. See how your body responds, and when in doubt, talk with your doctor, especially if you're taking prescription medications. Before we wrap up, I want to give you a few extra bonus tips that you can combine with any of the onion methods to get even better sleep results, naturally. Bonus tip number 1 is the heart rate drop breathing technique. This is a simple breathing pattern that tells your body, it's time to sleep. Try this as you lie in bed. Breathe in through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold your breath for 7 seconds. Exhale slowly through your mouth for 8 seconds. Repeat for 4 to 5 cycles. This slows your heart rate, calms your nervous system, and helps ease you into sleep, especially when paired with your favorite onion method. Bonus tip number 2 is to cool down your bedroom to 65 degrees Fahrenheit, 18 degrees Celsius. Experts agree the ideal sleep temperature is around 65 degrees Fahrenheit. A cooler room helps your core body temperature drop, and that's a signal to your brain that it's time for deep sleep. So before bed, try lowering the thermostat, cracking a window, or switching to lighter blankets. It can make a big difference. Bonus. Tip number 3 is to wind down with dim lights and no screens. Your brain needs signals that the day is ending. 2 things block melatonin: bright lights and screens. Try this. Turn off bright overhead lights an hour before bed. Use a lamp or even a candle if it's safe. Avoid phones, TV, or tablets. That alone could help your onion method work even faster, because your body will already be in sleep mode. So, here's your recipe for restful sleep. A proven onion method that works with your body's natural rhythms. A few minutes of slow, calm breathing to quiet the mind. A cool, dark room that signals your brain. It's time to rest and a mindful break from screens to protect your melatonin levels. When you combine these small habits, they create something powerful, a simple nighttime routine that helps reset your circadian rhythm, calm your nervous system, and prepare your body for real restorative sleep. The best part? It's all natural, totally free, and built around your body's own design. You're not forcing sleep, you're inviting it. Give it a few nights, and stay consistent. You might be surprised how quickly your evenings start to feel different, quieter, calmer, and easier to drift into. If this video helped you, or even made you curious to try something new, give it a thumbs up so more people can discover it. Click subscribe and tap the bell so you don't miss the next natural sleep tip. Share it with a friend or loved one who's also struggling with sleep. And most importantly, comment below. I'd love to know, which method are you going to try first? Have you used onions for sleep before? What helps you sleep better? Let's make the comments a place where we can all learn from each other. Until next time, I hope you sleep deeply, rest well, and wake up feeling like yourself again.